Welcome to the Velvet Story, where every whisper hides a secret and every silence speaks volumes. In the shadows of corporate empire and family betrayal, one woman is done hiding. This is Beneath the Mask, a tale of resilience, revenge, and the unraveling of a flawless facade. She was framed, broken, and buried alive by those she once called family. But now, she's rising, not with rage, but with resolve. And beside her, a man who once helped destroy her, but now might be the only one willing to help her burn it all down. Put on your headphones, and get ready to step into a world where masks fall, and truth bites back. Chapter 13, A Snake Uncoiled. Zhu Milam stared at the document glowing on her screen. A single name, a single betrayal. Zhu Yulian. She clenched her fists. This wasn't just corporate backstabbing, this was calculated destruction. The date on the order. The supplier's connection to a pharmaceutical front. The booking details of the hotel suite. Everything, tied back. Zhu Yulian hadn't just wanted her out of the company. She wanted her disgraced, defiled, and powerless. A sharp knock broke her trance. She turned. Qin Yiran stood at the door, dressed casually, a laptop under his arm. I figured you'd still be up, he said. You sent this? Yes. I had someone from internal security trace the invoice after I got a whiff of irregularities. He paused. I wanted to be wrong. Milam swallowed hard. She planned everything, the night of my wedding, the drugs, the smear campaign, even the hospital accident. She needed to hit everything at once. She knew you'd only walk away if you had no ground left to stand on. And now I know who kicked it out from under me. There was fire in her voice now, slow burning, molten. Not rage, resolve. The next day, Zhu Milam arrived at the private wing of the Zhu family estate, not as a mourning daughter, but as a ghost coming to haunt the ones who thought they'd buried her. Zhu Yulian was waiting in the rose garden, playing the part of the grieving niece perfectly. Milam, she said with a cold smile. You are finally here. The board's been asking. I'm sure they have, Milam cut in smoothly. After all, it's not every day a family vulture decides to wear the crown. Yulian's eyes glittered. You are angry, I understand. But it's important to move on, Milam. You're clearly not in a stable emotional state to run a corporation. Especially with your family's condition. You drugged me. The words dropped like stones between them. Yulian didn't blink, but her fingers stilled on the teacup in her hand. You arranged that suite. You paid for the groom's associate to back out last minute. You hired an escort to be there in his place. Milam stepped closer, but someone else walked into that room. And your whole plan collapsed without you even knowing. Still, Yulian didn't speak. I have the invoice, Milam continued. I have the supplier. And I have your name on both. Yulian's voice lowered. Even if you did, you think anyone would listen to you over me? You are a scandal now. I'm the one stepping in. The board won't want a tarnished face. And by the time your parents wake up, if they do, it will be too late. Then enjoy the crown while it lasts, Milam said coldly. Because I'm not leaving. I'm watching. And when you slip, I'll make sure you never wear a title again. That evening, back at the penthouse, Milam stepped out onto the balcony, exhausted, not physically, but emotionally. The confrontation had drained her, not because of fear, but because of the grief. She and Yulian used to play together as children. She had called her Gag once. Now she knew better. Do you want to learn how to fight? Qin Yiran's voice broke the silence. She turned, startled. He held out a thin folder, filled with printouts and notes. Corporate strategy? She asked. War, he replied. She gave a tired laugh. You think I need tutoring? I think you are too used to playing fair. And you? He shrugged. I win. That's all. She took the file. There was something comforting about the way he watched her, not like she was broken, but like she was sharpening. I should hate you, she said quietly, not looking at him. You were there that night. You are part of it. I didn't know it was you, he said. When I woke up and found that red whale thread on my sleeve. I thought it was one of my family's tricks. I didn't even know your name yet. You don't know me now either. I'm trying. Her heart twisted. She didn't want to fall for anyone. Not again. Not so soon. But this wasn't the same. Keen Yiran wasn't forcing her to trust him. He was walking beside her, quietly, without asking anything in return. That was harder to resist. Some weeks later. Congratulations, Miss Zhu, the assistant bowed slightly. Your motion for partial board reinstatement has been conditionally approved. Meelam breathed out slowly, gripping the polished wood of the long table. She had done it. A seat at the table again, not as a figurehead, but a fighter. When she stepped outside the boardroom, Keen Yiran was waiting. Did they fold? He asked. Partially. That's how most empires fall. She looked up at him, sunlight catching in her eyes. I owe you. No, he said quickly. Don't say that. Not for this. Then what do I say? He held her gaze for a long time, his expression unreadable. Say you'll keep fighting. Meelam smiled, the first real one in a long time. I already am. End of chapter 13. Chapter 14, Threads of the Past, Whispers of the Heart. The office lights had dimmed, but the fire inside Keen Yiran's private lounge still flickered, casting golden shadows on the glass. Zhu Meelam sat curled on one end of the leather sofa, her heels off, her eyes fixed on the city skyline. You haven't said much since the board meeting, Yiran said gently, settling beside her with 2 cups of tea. You should be celebrating. You clawed your way back in. She took the tea but didn't sip. It doesn't feel like a win, she said after a long pause. Not when the people who should be beside me aren't. She didn't cry, but the ache in her voice made his chest tighten. My father would have smiled like a proud lion, she whispered. My mother would have thrown a feast and told the whole extended family. And Zhenghao, he would have told me I was being too dramatic and then hugged me tighter than anyone. A heavy silence followed. Yiran didn't speak. Instead, he shifted closer and gently set a folded paper in her lap. She looked down. It was a sketch, delicate and hand-drawn. A woman's profile. Her. She blinked. You drew this? He gave a rare, sheepish nod. When? The first week you moved into the penthouse. I couldn't sleep. I started sketching again, something I hadn't done since I was a teenager. She looked at him, really looked. You are not who I thought you were, Keen Yiran. He met her gaze. And who did you think I was? A cold-blooded CEO. Ruthless. Untouchable. The type who uses people like pawns and never apologizes. I was, he said softly. What changed? You. Later that night, in his study, Yiran opened a small locked drawer. From it, he removed a black velvet box, old and worn with time. Inside, a jade pendant, shaped like a phoenix, lay nestled in silk. He hadn't looked at it in years. It was once his mother's. A woman from a small northern province who died under mysterious circumstances before she could officially marry into the Keen family. The pendant had been passed to her by someone from the Zhu family, a woman who used to serve the late patriarch's household as a maid. Rumors had swirled of hidden lineage, of illegitimate ties between the Keens and the Zhus, buried deep to protect reputations. And now, fate had looped them back again. Zhu Meelam. He wasn't sure why he felt drawn to her, whether it was guilt, destiny, or something far deeper, but he knew one thing. She had to win, even if he had to burn the entire city for her to do it. The next morning, Meelam was in the hospital, sitting by her brother's side. She held his hand gently. They're still pushing, she whispered. Yulian's offering the board shares in secret. She wants to dissolve the Zhu legacy before my parents even wake up. She paused. But I'm not letting her. I'll protect what's left. You hear me, GE? A nurse walked in, interrupting her quiet talk. Miss Zhu, the nurse smiled. A letter was dropped off at the front desk for you. No name. Just said it was important. Meelam took the envelope carefully. Inside, a single sentence, printed in clean block letters. It wasn't Lin who leaked the photos. It was someone much closer to you. Her heart stilled. A second, smaller paper slipped out. A name. Her hands trembled. She whispered it aloud. Tang Xinyu. That night, she stood alone on the rooftop of Keen Enterprises, the wind slicing through her silk blouse. Below, the city glowed, unaware of the war unfolding above. Yiran found her there, holding the note. I know who framed me, she said, voice steady. I do too, he replied, slipping beside her. She turned to him, surprise flickering in her eyes. You knew? Not officially, but I suspected. Tang Xinyu always aimed too high. She was bitter, ambitious, and jealous of anyone with more grace than she could buy. She was my best friend, Milam whispered. At least, I thought she was. Jealousy doesn't always come with fangs, Milam. Sometimes it just wears perfume and smiles sweetly. She looked at him, her eyes rimmed with something between grief and betrayal. I hate this version of the world, she murmured. Where love is a tool and friendships are knives. I know, but I don't hate you. Her voice cracked on the last word. Yiran's throat tightened. Slowly, carefully, he reached out and cupped her cheek. She didn't pull away. You shouldn't, he said quietly. Hate me, I mean. Why? Because I've never stopped seeing you. Not the headlines, not the scandal, just you. She blinked, heart thudding. Their foreheads touched, barely. Breath mingled. The city roared below, but up here, only silence spoke. It wasn't a kiss, not yet, but it was closer than either of them had ever dared. End of chapter 14. Chapter 15. Masks and Mirrors. Zhu Milam stood before the full-length mirror in the penthouse hallway, adjusting the lapels of her fitted white blazer. She didn't wear black anymore. That season of mourning was over. Today, she would face the woman who betrayed her, not as a wounded girl, but as a storm wrapped in silk. Behind her, Keen Yiran walked past, pausing briefly to glance at her reflection. You look like justice, he murmured. She smirked faintly. And what do you look like? Collateral damage. She turned, surprise. He gave a casual shrug. I'm going with you, remember? She sighed. Yiran, you are not facing her alone. There was a quiet authority in his voice, not control, but commitment. The kind that settled into your bones before your heart even realized it. Location, Hashang Pavilion Charity Gala. The ballroom was glittering, an ocean of wealth, artifice, and practiced smiles. Crystal chandeliers danced above silk gowns and designer suits. Tang Xinyu stood at the center, laughing with a minor socialite, radiant in emerald. Her performance was flawless, as always. Until she turned and saw Milam. The smile on her lips froze. Milam didn't flinch. She walked toward her, her heels striking like hammers on marble. Guests paused, murmurs rising like a low tide. Milam? Xinyu's voice pitched high, sweet with practiced innocence. You're here. I know. The words stopped Xinyu cold. I know you leaked the photos. I know you collaborated with Zhu Yulian. And I know you watched my life burn like it was just a front row seat to your own drama. Gasps fluttered around them. Xinyu's mask cracked, just a little. That's ridiculous. You're hurt, I understand. But I would never. Milam raised a small recording device and pressed play. A voice crackled to life. The media's ready. She'll be disoriented by morning. Get the pictures out before she sobers up. Make sure they tag her name. Not the man's, I want her ruined, not him. It was unmistakably Tang Xinyu's voice. Silence fell like a blade. Xinyu's face drained of color. Where did you get that? My mother's assistant kept a backup of everything. She was loyal, unlike you. Xinyu's expression twisted, no more lies to lean on. You think you're better than me? She spat suddenly. Your whole life was handed to you in gold. I worked for every table I was invited to. But you, she stepped closer, venom in her eyes, you were always so loved. So, perfect. I never needed to be perfect, Milam said softly. Just decent, just kind. That's what you never understood. Xinyu laughed bitterly, trying to recover her composure. What now? You'll expose me? Go ahead. You are already a scandal. Ruin yourself trying to ruin me. I don't need to ruin you, Milam said, stepping even closer. You did that yourself. I'm just letting the world see it. With calm grace, Milam handed the device to the event host. I believe this is newsworthy. Outside, under the dim lights of the valley entrance, Milam breathed deeply, her body trembling from the release of so much tension. Keen Yiran stepped beside her. You didn't even raise your voice. She wasn't worth the fire, Milam said. Yiran studied her face, quiet for a moment. You're different now. I had to be. You're stronger. I'm still breaking. She looked up at him, eyes shining but unfallen. And Yiran, who had once thought he was beyond soft emotions, felt something inside him ache. You don't have to break alone, he said, voice low. She blinked, surprised by the gentleness in him. Why do you care? He hesitated. I told myself I was helping you to repay a debt. To fix something I never meant to break. He paused. But lately, I've started looking for your face in every crowd. Listening for your voice in the quiet. And when you smile, it feels like I can breathe again. Her lips parted, stunned. I shouldn't feel this, he said. Not yet. Not like this. Then why do you? He looked away, almost vulnerable. Because somewhere between protecting you and fighting beside you, I fell. The wind stilled. Milan's heart beat hard against her ribs. I don't know if I can love again, she whispered. Not after what they did. What I lost. I don't need you to love me, he said. I just want you to let me stay. She exhaled shakily, and for the first time in a long time, she nodded. That night, zoo residence. Milam tucked a blanket around her brother and kissed her mother's hand before stepping out of the hospital room. Her phone buzzed. A message from a private number. You should look into the Liang acquisition from 3 years ago. Your father didn't approve it. Someone forged his vote. Her blood chilled. More secrets. More knives waiting beneath the silk. But this time, she wasn't alone. End of chapter 15. You've just heard another chapter of Beneath the Mask, only on the Velvet Story, where emotions are raw, and every heartbeat is a battlefield. Zhu Milam is no longer the victim. She's a storm in heels, a ghost in silk, and her enemies are starting to feel the chill. But as love blooms in the wreckage, and secrets rot beneath old names, can she win the war without losing herself? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us, would you forgive the one who once watched you fall, if they became the only one helping you rise? Until next time, stay tangled in the velvet threads of the story.